Welcome everybody to another Validator community call. Great to see everyone. We've got a couple things on the agenda today, so let's get into it. Validator updates as usual. I'm going to talk a little bit about some educational workshops I'm planning to do. Hopefully get feedback from you all and volunteers if anyone's interested in teaching something or helping out or just hanging out and seeing what it's about. And then Lucio from Marinade team, he's going to present a new stake account collateral product that they've been working on. Pretty cool. Should hopefully unlock some stake from some people with a lot of self-stake on validators. So he'll talk a little bit more about that. One sec. Yeah, okay. Sorry, getting a reminder as I'm as I'm talking, but so a couple of updates here. 1.10.39 is recommended for mainnet. If you were not aware of that, you probably are this morning. There was a stability feature that went out today that required you to be on 1.10.39. So just thank you everyone for upgrading, especially RBC operators. I know it could be a big lift, but it looked like we got the majority of stake and RBCs up to 110.39, so that's great. Also, we're hoping to get 5% of stake to 1.13.1 on mainnet beta. Right now, we're around 3.6, last I checked a few hours ago. So if anyone is willing to volunteer, we want to get to about 5%. Remember to check Solana validators and make sure we're still below 5% if you decide to upgrade. So again, 1.13.1, we want to get about 5% of stake on that version. We're slowly rolling this out, and the plan is to have quick enabled by default. So the sooner we can check off 5%, we can, move it to maybe 10% or more. So that's the plan. Oh, and also a reminder from Trent, make sure to only upgrade to 113.1 if you can keep an eye on it. Just watch out for any irregularities and report it to the team.
Can the Solana Labs team see how many nodes have quick client enabled?
Sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
Can you guys see how many validators have the quick clients already enabled? On 110.
Yeah,
we can. I know that we do. Do you have like a percentage already that's using quick?
I don't know the numbers right now, but I can check and get back to you. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
1 sec. Sorry, let me just respond to a message. All right, great. One other thing to mention, testnet, the recommended version is now 1.14.3. There's some minor improvements that are noticeable to validators, but the majority of the changes are perf improvements that should also hopefully be noticeable. Especially for shred processing, the performance should be pretty noticeably improved there. So go ahead and upgrade there if you haven't already on testnet. Another thing I want to try out going forward. So in order to accommodate people in Europe and Asia, I'm going to try every other validator call to shift the time zone a bit. This is a trial, so if it doesn't work out, if attendance is low, we'll probably go back to what it's been. But I'm planning on doing it at 6 a.m. UTC. It's 11 p.m. Pacific. That's about 8 a.m. if you're in France, and about, I think, 2 p.m. if you're in parts of Asia. So we'll see how this works. I know it might be late for some of us in the US. Again, if attendance is poor, if people are strongly opinionated about this, we might go back, but trialing it for now. As always, all the calls will be on YouTube, so you can always review the call if you missed it, if you're sleeping or whatever. And if you have any feedback about this, make sure to reach out to me. I'm on Discord, T.I. Garcia, or you can set up a one-on-one. It's always in the agenda on Validator Announce. Any questions or thoughts about that? Seems fair. All right, cool. I want to give a shout out to Everstake. They put on a workshop last week. It was a great success. It was not in English, so I didn't really have a lot of input there other than answering a few questions at the start. But just really cool to see a validator sort of spreading the knowledge, helping others out, and just a lot of people interested in participating in the workshop. Everstake's got some tweets up there about it, and I think they're excited to do more and to engage their validator community. So pretty cool to see. And if anyone wants to put on something like this yourself, happy to support and help give some guidance and connect you with Everstake if they have some feedback. So yeah, let me know. Again, thank you to Everstake and all the attendees. One other thing, I mentioned it earlier at the beginning of this call, but Breakpoint's coming up in about a month. I hope to see you all there. If you're not familiar, it's on the 4th through the 7th. It's Solana's big conference of the year. There's also going to be a Hacker House the days leading up to Breakpoint, November 1st through 3rd. So if you're interested in either of those events, go check it out. I will definitely be there for the 4th through the 7th. So if you're coming as well, I'm excited to see you all. I don't know if there's a recording of the workshop. I see a question in the chat about this. I'll check with Everstake. They might have one. Okay, another thing I want to talk about. So I mentioned this on an earlier call. I'm interested in doing some educational workshops for validators who are just getting started or maybe like haven't dug into operational things quite as much and want a little bit more support and help. So the plan is to do a series of 3 workshops leading up to Breakpoint. And then once Breakpoint hits, taking a break and reassessing and seeing how it goes. So I'm going to do these on the 12th, the 19th, and the 26th, Wednesdays. I haven't set a time yet, but I have a form that anyone who's interested can fill out and give me some feedback on what time they want these workshops and topics that might interest you. The general format is going to be about 30-ish minutes of presentation on a topic and then Q&A after. So if you've got specific questions on things that you want to learn about your validator, things that you're stuck on, things that maybe you just don't understand, we could bring it up there after the sort of focused presentation. Some topics I'm thinking about, but definitely willing to change or rearrange these things are some just sort of like overviews of how you earn stake as how you earn rewards as a validator, some best practices for how to withdraw your rewards and how often, some best practices around upgrading, restarting your node, what to do if you fall behind, downloading snapshots. I see questions about snapshots and falling behind in validator support and throughout Discord pretty regularly. So I'm hoping that will help some people. And then finally, monitoring your node using Watchtower, using metrics, using other things to help make sure your node is performing well. So that's the idea behind the workshop. Are there any questions or just people who are interested now? I'd love to hear feedback. +1 from Martin. Cool. Anybody else interested in attending or have a topic they want covered?
These are all the things that I've had to do this last month, so that's pretty great.
Cool. Anything you want to teach you feel confident about now?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, no. Okay. Well, hope you attend and hang out and maybe
I'm making a list of all of the things that I didn't know about. Like I spent an hour trying to transfer coins from my vote account to my validator account. And then I happened to find a command searching through Discord that you had to use this authorized withdrawer command. So like that's one of the things so I wrote that down because I'm eventually going to compile them all, I think.
Okay, cool. Yeah, love feedback on things that you just found confusing or struggle with a little bit getting started. So that's really helpful. Cool. All right, so I'll put in the form in the Validator Announce channel after this call. Anybody who's interested, feel free to fill out that form, give me some feedback. The only question you have to answer is which dates you're interested in, but it also asks what times you're interested in and just general topics that you want to see covered. All right, so if there's no other questions about that, I'm going to hand it over to the Marinade team. They're going to talk about their new stake account collateral product. Zantetsu's got a question about something. I think we can cover that at the end of the call. So hold that thought and we'll talk after Marinade goes.
Okay, thank you very much, Tim. Hi, everybody. I'm here, I'm Lucio, I'm here with Alex. And we will make a short presentation. It's a simple product. And I think that the most important part will be your feedback and your questions. This is a product that is now being discussed in Marinade governance forums. And after that, it will go through a DAO vote. And we expect, let's say, to put it into production as soon as possible. Let me share the screen. Let me tell you first, before making the presentation, so you have a general idea. We are number one in liquid staking in Solana, and most of our stake comes from what we call retail users. There is a small amount or a small or medium amount of SOL that is being staked through Marinade. But to be honest with you, it looks like that market has reached a certain plateau, and the amount of staking in liquid staking is low. So we are trying to innovate and find other ways to move more stake through Marinade and at the end increase decentralization. That is the objective that we have in mind always. So let me see if I can start this. This is what I was talking recently. It's just 3% of the total stake is liquid. The rest is locked. And being locked is, let's say, a little capital inefficient, and it's not helping or participating in the DeFi space of Solana. Most of the retail stake, we think that is already in Marinade or in other liquid solution in Solana. But I think we are trying to move into this other space where there's a lot of locked SOL that is capital inefficient, and this is self-staking validators. We believe that the main target is somebody that is running a validator, is an early Solana enthusiast, let's say, and got Solana at a very good price and is running a validator since then. The idea is, but let me tell you about the problem, what we were researching. A big problem with staking with Marinade, even if you understand the nice part of decentralizing the network and making it more censorship resistant, is that if you are self-staking, staking with Marinade implies normally that your stake will be distributed. And if you are part of the super minority, this is even worse, because everything you stake in Marinade will be distributed into other validators, because super minority validators right now we are only removing stake from. This is the idea of, let's say, decentralizing. So what if we were able to provide a service in which your self-stake remains in your validator, let's say, even if you are a super minority validator. And this is pretty simple, and we made it in such a way that doesn't require changes on the smart contract, because this is another important thing. One of the other, let's say, problems besides getting all your stake redistributed is that if you start using Marinade, you are adding a small amount of contract risk. But Marinade has been running for more than a year now and managing between 7 and 8 million SOL. So to be honest, at this point, a year later, with no exploits, the contract risk of Marinade is negligible. So for us, it's quite important not to introduce changes in the contract, so we can keep this let's say security about that the contract risk is really low. So the idea is, if you're a self-staker, you are running your validator, you have your stake, you deposit one of those accounts into Marinade. You receive MSOL like any other stake account deposit. But we are whitelisting your account, and that account that you deposit at first will remain 100% in your validator. Let's say Marinade will not distribute that account, even if you are part of the super minority. What do? You receive that MSOL, and let's say the counterpart from your side will be, let's say, okay, you keep the SOL in your wallet, or you use it in one of the whitelisted destinations. Right now, the most requested was Solana. For example, you can deposit a 100K stake account in Marinade. You get the equivalent amount in MSOL, and you can put the MSOL in Solana. Right now, you are still earning all your rewards. The stake is still in your validator, and you are able to use your MSOL as collateral in Solana. That is for getting a loan in USDC, getting other coins, getting DeFi yield. Even just depositing MSOL in Solana right now has 1% of APY. What do we do? Why do we say that we need to monitor where the MSOL is? Because if we didn't do that, you would, let's say, a very easily gameable way to create problem in this idea is to, let's say, okay, I sell the SOL and stake again in my validator, and then I create a loop, siphon invalidate the stake to my validator. So that's why the MSOL should always be visible, let's say, for the Marinade monitor. As soon as that MSOL is outside, let's say you decide to sell it to an stake and to do anything else, the only thing that happens is that we remove the proportional amount from your validator. Let's say the stake remains, but is distributed. And this is what I have said. Right now, we have, let's say, the most requested option to use the MSOL was Solana. So that will be at launch the option to use the MSOL. And at first, our current proposal is to have at least 30% of total Marinade TVL. That is about 3 million SOL. So the first 3 million SOL will see all their stake kept in their validator. Let's say if you take a 1 million SOL account and deposit in Marinade, you will get the equivalent MSOL, you will get collateral in Solana, and your million SOL will stay in your validator. As soon if this product has some success, the idea is that this amount will start increasing, and at some point, let's say, we will have more than 30% of total Marinade stake will be part of this program. At that point is the only moment in which we start removing a small amount. So, for example, if we get to 5 million SOL in this program, maybe you get back in your validator only 90% of all the MSOL you own. This already mentioned that we didn't make any change on the smart contract. This is the point at which you maybe start contributing to decentralization. Let's say losing some of these 100% that were staked back will be slowly going down. And this is important. I will share this link in the chat. We are seeing that even if you only get 90%, 80%, 70%, even 50% back of a stake, you still getting more rewards by using the MSOL in DeFi that the amount of reward you lose by, let's say, not having self-stake. I will share that. And this product is now being discussed in Marinade Governance Forum, so all your feedback will be really, really appreciated. This is a product that we in reality developed by talking with self-staking validators, so that will be very useful. Let me share those links now. And please, here the important part is to hear your feedback.
Is the minimum amount 100,000 SOL?
Right now, yes, but that's debatable. If most people think that that's too high or too low, it can be changed. What do you think is too high?
No, I was just I saw the number. I just wanted to be clear on it.
Yes, we are discussing it. This is the proposal is 100K to start, let's say, in a controlled manner. Let's say we know that there will be less people participating like that, but to be honest, it can be a little lower. The other interesting part that wasn't in the presentation is that the beautiful part is that even if you stake and you in some way Marinade or your action are controlling now how much of your self-stake is in your validator, at all moments you own the SOL, because the MSOL is transferred to your account like a normal Marinade stake. So the moment you want to get out of the program, you just liquid on a stake or delayed on a stake the MSOL, convert it back to SOL and redeposit in your validator. That's another good part of how this is designed. You are not, let's say that everybody's in control of its own property at all times. Santetsu, yes,
Yep.
but let me share this sheet, this spreadsheet, because it's quite important. Wait a minute. Alex, do you have the link to the spreadsheet at hand?
Yeah, it's in the presentation, and I shared the presentation in the channel.
Okay.
Sorry, are you asking me to speak now, or are you doing something else?
No, please.
Okay. So I have sort of a question and a comment. My question is, I know that the way that your staking method works, when people do when they do delayed on stake and they get a stake account back, I think it chooses like the largest stake accounts to take from. Does that mean that people who deposit in this may have their stake taken, withdrawn when a user goes to trade their MSOL back for a stake account, or those accounts are now shielded?
No. Internally, this is how it works. We have a delegation strategy that assigns, let's say, a stake. It assigns it in percentage. So maybe we are talking about plus minus 5%. But with this product, what we are doing is we are taking this self-stake into consideration for the delegation strategy, and you are assigned a certain percentage of total Marinade stake in order for you to get, let's say, or to keep the amount that you have deposited. And by contract, in the code of the contract, there's no way that the program itself will remove more stake that the amount you have assigned. There's a control in even if the bot makes a mistake and tries to unstake from your validator, if the resulting amount is lower than the amount you have assigned, the transaction fails. So it doesn't matter who unstake or how, there's no way for you to get less than you have assigned.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. So the comment I had, I don't know, it's a very big topic, and it's hard to filter down what I want to say to something that's very clear. But I feel like Solana was kind of designed with, staking as a user, as a user function, where the purpose of staking is to allow a large body of end users to make individual choices on what validators should have greatest voting power. And the methods you guys are soon to be going for are trying to sort of concentrate those decisions into either a smart contract or some combination of a smart contract and your team's decisions over, where that stake should go. And I think that's just something to consider about like how the fundamental nature of Solana is really meant to work. And I think also that there's potentially a design inherent in the Solana ecosystem where staking is always in competition with other forms of value accrual. You can either stake your sol or you can not stake your sol and find something else to do with it. And there's a balance that's struck when enough people find something else to do with their sol, they go and do it, and that's less staking, which then brings more staking rewards to those who remain, which then brings it back into some kind of equilibrium. And I feel like that's a really well-designed system. And I feel sometimes like what Marinade is trying to do is trying to kind of defeat that and say, we don't have to have that. Instead, you can kind of do both things. You can both stake and use DeFi. But I think that in the economics of it, if you look really deeply, it's almost like a shell game. It doesn't really change, how the system should work. Anyway, that's sort of my, I don't want to go into too much more detail because it's a very big topic. My thoughts about it.
I agree with you, but sadly, that's too idealistic, if you like. Because what ended up happening is that people selected the top validators. So we have a big concentration and a Nakamoto coefficient of 7. So Solana is not very censorship resistant with 7 validators. Now it's better, but that was the result of letting the people choose. And also, this is the nature of Web3 and permissionless. If you can have a better use of capital, that is liquid staking, it's inevitable that somebody will implement it. Right now, Marinade is a Solana native project, and we are all very involved with and all working from the beginning. We launched even before the SPL token was released. The SPL staking pools. And the option to Marinade is to have a Lido controlling liquid staking in Solana. And then you will have Ethereum token holders making decisions about that. So I don't know. I understand that will be best, but the real world says, no, you need to use liquid staking.
Yeah, I think that the landscape we have still even now in 2022 is that most stake is controlled by, and I think we should all just recognize this, by a small number of entities. It's just the way it is. I mean, the Solana Foundation is one such entity, and luckily they're a benevolent, entity, and they control like 20% of stake. But there are probably some organizations that also control potentially equal amounts of stake. And I think that in the eventuality, 20 years from now, when most SOL is distributed amongst many end users, those millions of individual decisions will lead to a better stake distribution. That's my hope for the future. And maybe the solution you're providing will help the immediate situation where so much stake is concentrated in so few entities. But I think hopefully in the eventuality, such a solution won't be needed.
Yes, Brian, sorry.
Yeah, so from your presentation, and I was also following it on Discord, for me, it seems like a lot of work for, let's say you get that 1% return. So you would normally have your APY from your validator, but then giving it to Marinade, you'll get the APY from Marinade plus potentially the 1% deposit in the SOL end. So I think for me, it's less about the mechanism and probably more education on what you can actually do with the MSOL. Like, what does it mean to use, these liquid pools and all this DeFi stuff? And I know that's kind of where it is for me. Like, it sounds great, but I don't actually know what it does. And if I'm just going to do it for the 1% MSOL reward, then maybe that's not worth it.
No, that's minimum, let's say, because if you can get 4 or 5% by let's say borrowing USDC from Solent, then you are really doubling your staking rewards.
Yeah, so I think that is the stuff that is the most interesting. Like, you can talk about the mechanism to do that, but if you don't understand that you can get, you're 6% plus your 4%, then that's like where I think that
Correct.
people are gonna get excited about.
Yeah, but to be honest, I don't want to sell that because you need to do your own research. It is, let's say, borrowing USDC and then using the USDC to get 5, 7, or 10% APY implies, yes, more contract risk. So that part should be, let's say, researched by everyone. I don't want to say here that, okay, you will get, instead of 6 or 7, you will get 15 APY. It doesn't make sense because there's a lot of small print under there.
Yeah, there's a lot of risk. I just think that if you had,
to be honest with you, I think if I was a self-staking validator and had, let's say, 1 million sold, $30 million, the best part for me will be to, okay, I will deposit in Solid and get a loan of 200, 500, $1 million to buy a house, to buy a car, to do something else. It's a way to use in the real world money that I have a stake validating and keep it. Let's say, because if I do that right now, I will still keep the million sold. And one more thing.
Thank you.
In our talks, there were some validators in the super minority that, like Foundation, I was pretty surprised, were really, really altruistic. They already deposited in Marinade just to enhance decentralization, and they are willing to sacrifice. They don't care. They see let's say the success of the network as more important than 1 or 2 points. Those are their own words. So there are good people out there. Sorry, Colin.
Yeah, are you planning on whitelisting the quarry pool for MND rewards?
We are planning on, yes, there's a quarry where you deposit them Sol and get them in the, yes. We are planning to whitelist that.
Got it. So that would be approved for deposit of MSOL from the self-stake.
Yes, sir. That's another thing that you need to do your own research, because if you do what Colin is suggesting, you will receive MND and you can use the MND to vote more stake into your own validator through the Gaussian. So that's another nice loop to make numbers about.
Any more questions?
So if any,
Go ahead.
one question to the group. Do the number 100K sounds too high, too low? Are in this group people that are self-stakers besides running validators?
I mean, so for me, it's definitely high. I'd be interested in utilizing that program, but I don't have 100K personally.
So why is there even a limit, Lucio?
Because there's right now on the launch some overhead involved in whitelisting the people, in following, in getting the monitor running. So we prefer to start with large, let's say, with the big ones in the super minority. But in the future, if we automate everything and we are, let's say, satisfied with the security of the system, we will start lowering that number to make everyone to participate. But right now, we need to, let's say, coordinate the deposit in order for us to be able to monitor.
Yeah, for the number in my head, I believe that like 10K Sol would be kind of a sweet spot where you get more people joining the program. But yeah, if it's like a lot, then you should automate it. You should automate it really soon. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Lucio.
In the presentation, there's a link also to Marinade Governance Forum. So please participate and add your 2 cents there in order for it will be being discussed for a couple of more days. Then it will go to a DAO vote, So now is the time to influence the final proposal for the DAO. Yes, and that's
So maybe this is getting a little bit too off topic. So if you don't want to answer this, or if anyone thinks this is not appropriate, I'm fine with that. But I do always wonder why, this story that like MSOL is sort of better in DeFi. If someone uses, say, straight SOL in whatever system MSOL would be used in, whoever receives that SOL can themselves stake it and make that stake return and essentially pay that or some large fraction of that APY back to whoever is using that DeFi system. Like why do you think like MSOL, like why do you think SOL's natural value can't be, the staking value thereof can't be impugned back through those DeFi systems to end users anyway? Does that make sense?
yes, but I think that the key here is capital efficiency. The Solana system of native staking is well designed, and most proof of stake chains have the same or similar systems. But at the end, it's not as capital efficient as it could be. So MSOL is better because you are still staking, you are still securing the network and helping decentralization, and also you are participating in DeFi and increasing Solana value by having a big DeFi space. So, and also if you self-stake, you need to wait an epoch to withdraw. So having a liquid token has that other advantage. Let's say
Yes,
that you can.
That's
And
kind of
there's
what
only a subset of those DeFi protocols that are actually able to take custody of the SOL to stake it. So most of the contracts are locking up that SOL. So they like the operator has no ability to stake it. It's just sitting there locked up in a contract, not gaining in value.
Yeah, I just think that's probably an inefficient contract because any SOL that's not going to move within an epoch can be staked. Like there's no reason not to because you can, unstake it as needed. So there's probably some, complex bookkeeping that has to go along with keeping the right amount of reserves and what have you. But yeah, sorry, I don't want to rat hole on that too much.
So please, I don't want to also take much time of the meeting. Please, if you have something that you think could be valuable or any idea, just share it in the governance forum.
All right, sounds good.
And thank you, Kim, again. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Lucio, and thank you, Marinade. Do you have a link to that governance forum you could put in the chat, or did you already leave that there?
There you go.
Great, thank you. All right, well, that's all we have for the call. Are there any questions or topics people want to bring up before we end it?
I was just curious if you were planning in any more, or if there's anything else in the pipeline to reward validators or make onboarding more efficient, because the tortoise sun just came up and that kind of came out of nowhere, and then you made the change to the onboarding. If you don't onboard within 10 epochs, you get removed. So curious if there's anything like that you can talk about.
Good question. We don't have any like pending programs coming up. I would say generally the way the foundation is thinking about things is that we want to focus on the validators that we have and improve their knowledge, their ability, and their sort of participation in Solana, right? So the sort of theme of programs coming up, I think you could expect things that kind of challenge validators in the delegation program to improve their performance and their participation in order to get to mainnet. And generally more educational and kind of community building things to help validators succeed. I think the general thought is that we can always add more validators to the network, but at this point we have a pretty strong, robust number of validators. And really what we want to do is make them the best group of validators in the crypto space. So I don't know if that answers your question. The sort of short answer is there's nothing pending, but the long answer is that's how we're thinking about it and how we want to improve the network.
That's great. Yeah, I haven't been around that long, so hearing you probably have said this a few times, but hearing it now is pretty good, pretty cool. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks. All right. Cool. Well, if there are no other questions, thank you all. Thank you, Marinade, and I'll see you next time. A reminder that next call will be at a different time, so I'll try to post the agenda as early as possible for the next one.
3 a.m. for me. You're not very good with the Americas, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so great for me either. I'm sorry. Zentetsu actually has a quick question.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
just real quick. I mentioned earlier, I think it would be great for all of us if the vote program was changed slightly so that we didn't have to use our main withdrawal key to withdraw from vote accounts. Because what you really want to do is keep your main withdrawal key locked into like cold deep storage, because you really should never touch it unless for some reason you need to modify one of the other authorities. Because what happens is if you take that out just so that you can withdraw Sol from your vote account, you're basically potentially exposing the key that someone could use to steal your entire validator. And it'd be better if we had a separate key just for withdrawing from vote accounts, I think. So I'm writing up a proposal. Maybe we can make that happen. I think now that I understand the innards of Solana a lot better than I did a year ago when I sort of first brought this up, I think maybe I could even implement it, which I think would be pretty cool. Because then we could, like, for example, I have an automated script that moves Sol into and out of my validator account as needed, but it can't touch my vote account. It'd be great to be able to automate that too. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. I worry about adding complexity around just having so many keys to manage if you're newer to the network. But you know, if you can optionally make a different key for withdrawing versus.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't be mandatory. It'd be something you would enable. And if you didn't enable it, then everything would work as it was. But if you issue a command that says add this authority, then you would have it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. So yeah, happy to see where that goes and help push it along.
That actually came up today or yesterday. I think I have my withdrawal authority on my testnet and a key pair. I think Trent was like, you need to take that off. So I have my ledger, and I was like, okay, how do I move it to my ledger? Like, well, my server doesn't have access to my USB. This is just what's going through my head. So I'm like, then do I need to put my key phrase into the server for a moment to set the withdrawal authority? So that seems weird to me that I'm putting my key phrase on something. So I don't know if this is relevant, but I think that, yeah.
Very relevant, yeah.
Heads up on that.
Okay.
You can definitely do it just from a completely different computer. To do any of the authorized withdrawal commands, they don't require any of the other keys to be present. So you can just do it on a local device completely separate.
I see. That makes sense. I don't have to do it from my server. I can bring my other keys there or.
No, yeah, exactly. You just need your withdrawal key, and you can set it to the CLI on any computer. You don't need any of the vote account or identity keys present to run those commands. And I think that was on purpose.
Yeah, it's intended to be that way, and something I wanted to talk about in one of those workshops. So
sorry, still in your thunder.
No, great. it's glad it came up. So awesome.
I had another thing. Is it an idea to have some kind of validator gathering at breakpoints? Is it something that more people are up to? Just to have a beer or something that we could organize? Maybe from someone from Solana can help organize, or. Yeah,
I think there are some proposals for validator meetups for Breakpoint, the sort of main schedule. I don't have a lot of visibility into what the final schedule is going to look like for Breakpoint. It's been kind of there's a lot of people that want to get their talk into Breakpoint, so it's been sort of closed intentionally a little bit so that 100 people aren't putting their 2 cents into what the schedule should be. But I should know more about what the schedule looks like in a couple weeks, and if there isn't a validator meetup on the schedule, I'd be happy to put together something and just have a meetup at a bar,
somewhere.
something
like less official. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll update everyone in the coming weeks once I know what the schedule looks like. But happy to put that together.
Awesome.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you, everyone. See you next time. Bye.